This opening has a 63% win rate after move 4. It's called the Urusov Gambit. So in part 2 of Urusov's Gambit, we go e4, they go e5, we go bishop c4. When they go knight f6, we go d4. And if they take on e4, we take on e5. In the last video, we went over bishop to c5 and why that's an L, because we have this move right here, queen to d5, attacking the bishop, knight, and threatening mate one at the same time. It's basically a GG's at this point, free wins. But we're going to go over different responses like queen to h4. Now, the threat here is f2, so all we have to do is bring bishop to e3, protecting f2. And if they decide to take it anyways, there's a little bit of a trick here, and move orders are very important. If we end up taking on f2 early, queen can actually take our bishop on c4, and this is winning for black. It has a much better position. We have an isolated pawn that's pushed up very far. We're not fully developed here. We only have our bishop, and we took a few moves to do all of this, right? So the order to do this correctly is sacrificing our bishop on f7, forcing the king to lose his castle, because a lot of the time when you can mess with your opponent's castle, you can win the games fairly easily, because it's very hard to work around losing your castling rights. It's happened to me plenty of times, and I've lost plenty of games that way. So after they take, we take on f2, and it's a completely different position. We win tempo on the queen. There's not really a whole lot they can do. If they come to just check us, we have knight e2. We don't really care that much about that pawn because we're castling next. If they did want to do that, all we have to do is castle, and look at that, boom. Beautiful. Now, if they decide to play a move like c6 in this situation, we just want to go to queen e2, attacking the knight, and it can get kind of tricky here, because if they play d5, it's already completely losing for them. This knight is gone because we have the beautiful en passant move, and we're attacking the knight, and it's pinned. There's no way to save it. If they play f5, all we got to do is play f3, and that knight is bye-bye, gone. Free elo, we're winning this game. Now, if they decide to go the other way with f5, pretty similar, but still a tricky position, because after we en passant here, they can actually play d5. We can't play f3 anymore because they're attacking our bishop. So instead, we could play something like knight c3, because if they end up taking our bishop, we take the knight, and now we're protecting this pawn. So if they play the correct move in this situation, go knight c5, all we got to do is go knight f3 and just keep developing our pieces, because the point of c6 is to provoke either d5 or b5, but b5 is the correct move here. We just back up, and if knight decides to take, we take and open up our rook file. This is a better position for white. I'm not saying this is a guaranteed GG's, but I'd rather play this position as white rather than black. Okay, and if they decide to play something like d5 here, don't get tempted by the en passant. It's not very good for us. We just take, it's a free pawn. We keep this strong pawn in the center. We're doing a lot here. He can't really run away in a bunch of places, and we're attacking him at the same time. That's just a free pawn. Pretty much, we're going to have a much better position than our opponent. And that's kind of the point of these gambits. Get development early and be able to attack our opponent faster than he can even count. But regardless, in this situation, if he ends up doing something like this, again, don't be tempted by the en passant. En passant does work, but we can just develop and just keep attacking. It's a much better position for white than black. Now, if they also play a move like knight c6 in this situation, we actually have the beautiful move, another bishop sacrifice, because if he ends up taking our bishop sacrifice, we have queen to d5 once again, attacking this knight. It cannot be blocked. King has to move somewhere. So if they go king to e8, bam, we take it. Now stay tuned for part 3, where we're going to discuss if they do e takes d4 instead.